POV. Was all that Izuku Midoriya could exclaim in his pure shock and confusion. The green-haired successor of All Might stood there, practically frozen, face as red as a Darmanitan, his brain trying to comprehend the words that his classmate before him uttered. "DDD did Asui ask me out on a DDD date?" was the only rational thought playing in his mind, followed by his mind blue-screening, rebooting, and the same thought playing again and restarting the cycle. Pikachu was not much better off, himself shocked by the boldness and request of the frog girl despite only knowing his trainer for over 5 days. Then again, Pikachu thought back to the other girls that he, and the others, realized had grown romantically attached to their trainer. Still, surprised that she asked him so quickly. While Combusken, inside her Pokeball, was confused on how to interpret this series of events, Eevee grew tense in his ball. The brown-furred Pokemon could recall only one instance when his partner was asked to do anything with a girl, before Serena came into their lives. The results included his trainer mocked and beaten by ash blonde-haired bully, the girl spitting her gum at Izuku's face, and taking at least a week before Eevee and Pikachu could shake the teen out of the funk he fell into. Immediately after realizing that this wasn't Aldera and that Asui was nice and heroic, the evolution Pokemon felt guilty and urged his trainer, psychically, to respond to the, surprisingly, patient frog girl. Upon Eevee's insistence, Izuku asked Jiuum, Asui. "I told you to call me, Zu." Zu reminded him. Sorry, Zu," Izuku corrected himself. "See, could you repeat what you said? I think I may have misheard something." "I asked if you wanted to go on a date." Asui responded. The words still caused for the emerald-eyed teen to freeze and blush bright red. No, this isn't actually happening." Izuku thought in a panic. There's no way a cute girl like Asui would want to ask me out. Wait, where did that cute girl thing come from? I mean, she is cute and attractive, and she's definitely way out of my league. Why yeah, I must be suffering from some kind of exhaustion after talking to that crowd that's making me hear things dash. You aren't hearing things, Midoriya. Asui suddenly said. Izuku immediately clasped his mouth, realizing with horror that he spoke his thoughts out in his infamous mumblings. Pikachu face-palmed and was really tempted to electrocute his dumbass partner. Although, it's actually my fault that sprung this up on you so suddenly. Asui admitted. And that it was a joke. Huh? Izuku questioned, now utterly confused. I was joking. Asui said, still looking completely serious and blunt. Oh. Izuku said, not sure why he suddenly felt somewhat disappointed. But I did wanted to ask you something that many would think is a date. Asui continued. Midoriya, do you want to go on a Pokemon capturing trip with me? Pokemon capturing trip. Izuku repeated confused. It's a tradition that my family has done for generations. Asui revealed. The Asui family would come together during Golden Week and for a few days, we would go on a trip to a marsh where we would capture wild Pokemon before we release them into the wild again. Oh, I see. Izuku nodded, finally understanding the concept. That sounds like something that would be a great bonding experience. My dad would agree. Asui nodded. For first-timers, it's actually where we get our first Pokemon. It's where I got my Politoed, and where I met Krogunk and Palpitoad. Normally, after capturing them I would release them back into the wild dash. But since you were preparing for UA, you were allowed to keep them. Izuku finished her sentence. Yep, and with the sports festival coming up, I thought the yearly trip would be a great way to get another Pokemon to prepare. Tsuyu said. It makes sense. Izuku thought, nodding meanwhile. It's different in some years, but most of the second round of trials of the sports festival involve Pokemon, with the first event an Enigma and the final event always the 1-1-1 brawls. Getting another Pokemon to add to more versatility to whatever challenge it may be is smart. And there is another tradition that our family does. Asui revealed further. A member of the family can invite someone to join us for the trip. And for this year, I want to ask you to join us. Izuku blinked his eyes in surprise. Really? Izuku asked. But, why me? I mean, we're friends, if you think so too. I do. Asui replied, honestly. But surely you have closer friends that you would want to invite. Midoriya said. I do. Asui said again, her eyes looking out the window, glazed as she was lost in thought. Then why choose me? Izuku asked. 2 reasons. Asui said. The first is because of the USJ. The USJ. Izuku repeated, confused. When you led us out of the shipwreck zone. Asui said, the two thinking back to their battle against the watery villains and their Pokemon in the shipwreck zone. And when you saved me from Shigaraki. The memory of Izuku jumping into to save Asui from the decaying villain also popped up, along with Asui remembering how he continued to fight the Nomu and how she saw him more differently afterwards. You saved my life, twice really, and I never got the chance to thank you. Hey, Izuku said quickly, placing a hand on Asui's shoulder that had similarly green-haired teen look up at him. It's okay, Aizu. You don't to thank me or feel like you owe me anything. I was just doing what anybody would do. Also, I don't want to be an inconvenience for your family. If only. Pikachu dryly thought, thinking back to Bakugu. Maybe, but you still saved my life, and I don't want for a good deed to be left unpaid. Asui replied, I asked my mother and father and they said that they would be more than happy for you to come along. All right. Izuku said, still unsure. And what was the second reason? Asui was silent for a moment, almost pondering her choice of words, which Izuku found odd towards the blunt, always speaking what is on her classmate. Finally, she gave her response with, the other reason is because I want to get to know my classmate and friend better. Despite the simple answer, Izuku was still left surprised by Asui's sincerity. After pondering his response, all the cons and pros, after looking at Asui's expectant face, the normally dense teen seeing the anxiousness deep in her normally stoic eyes, Izuku looked to Pikachu and the two nodded, knowing he couldn't refuse. Well, if you and your folks are okay with it, then we'd be happy to come with you. Izuku said. Right, Pikachu. Pika Pi. Was the response Asui heard from the smiling electric Pokemon. And I can probably speak for Eevee and Combusken too, that they would love to come. Izuku continued. Sure thing. Eevee replied, excited for the trip. While going to a marsh doesn't sound like the greatest idea for me, I'd be happy to go too. Combusken gave her answer. Asui closed her eyes and smiled. Thank you, Ribbit. She replied. Izuku's cheeks flared red again. Cute. He subconsciously thought. Later, after Izuku agreed to the trip, the two would continue talking for some time about more of the finer details. Asui further elaborated that the 3-day trip would begin on the next Saturday, after the first week of school and during the second week, which was a break week for Golden Week and its national holidays. The two finished their conversation with Izuku promising to ask for his mother's permission, his mother still being rather protective and doting of him, especially since the sludge villain incident a year ago. Izuku and Asui would tell the news to the rest of their friends. Izuku felt the only truly supportive and happy one among them was Ida, although he did express some concerns over perhaps missing some of the festivities of the important holidays. As for the girls, their faces and smiles said that they understood and were happy, yet something in him felt that they were secretly mad, and expressed that by being strangely silent and cold for the rest of the day. For what reason? Izuku had no idea. The rest of the week and the following one, Izuku spent at UA normally, going to classes, train with his classmates in their hero and Pokemon classes, and training hard to work on his use of One for All. By the end of the week before his trip, Izuku felt that he raised his limit up to 7% normally to 8% for a short while. Thankfully, as Izuku and Asui explained more about the trip, whatever coldness the girls had seemed to lessen if not outright vanish, things going relatively normal between Izuku and the girls. Although he noticed that the girls would likewise be more forward with hugs and, during training sessions or projects, asking for them to partner with them. But during the week, all of them were training and practicing hard. training themselves and their Pokémon for every kind of possibility for the unknown trials that awaited them. Ida would be seen practicing after school with his Lucario, Skarmory, and his final Pokémon, a Doju, training their speed by running as fast as possible. Asui, herself, was training in UA's pool on her swimming and tongue-catching skills, her Politoed and Palpitoad training on their swimming speed too, while alternating to helping with Croagunk's more fighting training and, with the others' help, evading and blocking attacks to better its defense and special defense. Serena would likewise spend most of her training at the pool, training to manipulate better amounts of water and ways to use her water in a Deku-issued notebook of tips, while her Milotic, Bryon, and Piplup trainer with her. The Strawberry Blonde team would at times find herself training at the same time as Asui, with the two ultimately training together, with Serena at times staring suspiciously at Asui, pondering if there is some unknown reason why Asui chose to invite Midoriya. The students would also train through regular cardio and weightlifting, like Shoji mostly trained by lifting up weights, with his Pokémon mimicking their trainer or boosting their defense and attack through spars against each other, and even Hagakure, who was struggling in comparison. Ojiro and Zero mostly focused on their mobility, with Ojiro hopping and jumping around one of the battle zones with his Ambipom following behind him, while Zero swung around via his tapes and his Ariados following suit. Some students decided to train together, like Asui and Serena. Uraraka, Mina, and, surprisingly, Aemar trained in the USJ, now repaired and villain-free. Uraraka would float many objects, from small to medium size, with her zero gravity to train her endurance and help ease her nausea, and had Minia psychically move the floating objects for Mina, Aemar, and their Pokémon, who would use them for target practice. Mina would destroy them with her acid and Aemar with his naval laser, though the latter would sometimes flaunt and show off only to be later hit in the head with a falling piece of debris. Some training sessions were interrupted by each other. Koda would train to use his Ana voice on surrounding Pokémon to boost his level of control, only to be interrupted by Soto and his Pokémon training, the former of whom made a lot of noise that messed with Koda's concentration and control. The rest decided to work more individually. Kirishima was mostly seen training his hardening by either jumping off the buildings in the USJ's landslide zone or had his Pokémon attack him. Kaminari and his Pokémon would work on their electrical output and stamina. Jiru trained by her honing her listening skills and throwing accuracy with her jacks, and Momo would be simultaneously be reading from her encyclopedias for more information and ordering her Pokémon to do several different training regiments. Bakugu would be yelling and shouting as he trained his explosion quirk and bossing his Pokémon, all the while unaware of Principal Nezu keeping an eye on him while he researched and investigated Aldera. Todoroki was rarely seen training at UA and mostly kept to himself at his home, training in his Pokémons as well, though his attention was spent the least on Vulpix, who was visibly saddened. And finally, Izuku trained by running around and lifting weights at Dagobah Beach while Pikachu improved on his speed, Eevee on his heal pulse and attack, and Combusken on speed and attack. The training would make the days pass by quickly for the UA students, and before Izuku knew it, the day came for his trip with Asui and her family. Saturday noon. "Are you sure you got everything you need, Izuku?" Inko asked her son. "Yes, Mom," Izuku said, his voice slightly strained in tired impatience after the 10th time his mother asked the same question. "Did you put a waterproof suitcase for your phone?" Inko asked further. "If you are going to the marsh, then you need to keep it safe in case you need to call for help." "Yes, Mom, I told you 10 times already." Izuku stressed out. "I got enough clothes, poke food for Eevee, Pikachu, and Combusken, emergency supplies, and Asui said her dad's got a spare fishing rod for me to use." "Oh, I know, Inko said. "It's just, this will be the furthest time we will stay from each other and I can't help but worry." Izuku's annoyance quickly faded away as he hugged his worried mother. "She's right," Izuku said. "Other than a one-night sleepover at Ka Bakugu's house when we were younger, me and Mom have spent a whole day apart from one another. Ever since she and my father split, and when I found out I was quirkless, Mom was extra protective of me. This trip, it might as well be a sign to her that I'm truly growing up and will have to leave out on my own, one day." "It's okay, Mom. I'll be fine," Izuku pacified his mother with some back rubs. I can take care of myself, and I got Evive and the others to watch my back. As always. Evive called out, smiling. Sergeant Pikachu, reporting for duty. Pikachu strolled up beside Evive, wearing an army camo cap and saluting dramatically. I still can't believe that you got Midoriya to buy that for you. Combusken shook her in disbelief. But you can count on us, Miss Midoriya. Besides, Asui's dad said that they won't be going too deep into the marsh. Izuku said as the son and mother broke the hug. It will be Asui's sister's first time going, so we will stay by the safer side of the marsh. I know. Inko nodded, still worried. It's also the last time that you were there, you and Evive nearly died, and I just don't want anything bad like that to happen again. Izuku frowned, his mind flashing back to that day. Bakugo blasting the fence open, marching through the forest on the edge of the marsh, that weird pink Pokemon, Bakugo's fall, and Izuku shook his head to shake off the bad memories. Don't worry, Mom. Izuku said again. Nothing like that will happen again. I promise. I will never be the same defenseless kid again. I swear. Inko finally smiled and nodded. Okay. Inko said. After the two finished their heart-to-heart, Izuku could finally realize his mother's continuing greater health. After months and months of her exercising and eating healthier since his own training with All Might began, Midoriya's mother was slowly shaping up to her more slimmer body when he was 4. She even looked taller and younger, almost like she could have been Izuku's sister, instead. Of course, she still had some body fat still around her waist, but progress was progress, and, though she still worried sometimes, she was becoming more light-hearted and less worrying too. Soon the doorbell rang, drawing the two's attention. Hey, Midoriya. Asui's voice called out from the other side. It's Zu. Oh, I'll be right there, Azu. Izuku called out, correcting himself again. Better. Asui croaked out. Izuku gathered his stuff and recalled Evive and Combusken into their Pokeballs, Pikachu climbing up to his shoulder. As he turned to his mom to say his goodbyes, he blinked in surprise at the teasing smile and eyes of his mother. Mom? Izuku asked. So, it's Zu, huh? Inko questioned teasingly. I didn't know you two were that close. Mom? Izuku exclaimed, blushing up a storm at his mother's meaning. It's not like that. We're just friends. Oh, I know, I'm just teasing you. Inko waved off her son's blushing and stuttering and brought him into a hug. Be safe, you hear me? I will. Izuku smiled and hugged back. They broke apart and Izuku went to the door with Pikachu and his stuff. Bye, Mom. See you in 3 days. Bye, Izuku. Oh, and charm the socks of her and her family. Inko suggested, her teasing voice back. I'm sure both me and Mrs. Asui would like some grandbabies in the future. Mom. Izuku yelled, his face as hot as a nuclear reactor. Ignoring his mother's laughing, Izuku opened the door to greet Asui, only to freeze at what he saw. Asui wore a bright green shirt over moss green rain jacket over a light green sweatshirt that almost hugged her chest and modest breasts, her bimini green shorts ending halfway down her thighs and showing off her amazing legs. Hello, Midoriya. She greeted, light blush on her cheeks. Izuku gazed in awe of Asui's beauty. In his short time getting to know his classmate for over a week, Izuku admitted that Asui was a very beautiful girl, much like the rest of the girls in his class, finding even her features that would seem off-putting to most men, like her wide eyes, large hands, and mostly hunched posture rather cute, with even sending Asui in a mad blush for complimenting her large hands as a factor of her quirk. But now seeing Asui in such an outfit outside her normal school clothes, gym uniform, and hero suit, left the fellow green-haired teen stunned, his cheeks flaring. Noticing that his trainer was too busy gaping like a Magikarp, Pikachu snapped the teen out of his silence with a subtle whip of his tail to back of Izuku's skull. Effectively knocked out of his trance, Izuku blushed redder before finally replying "Hi, Azu." Izuku greeted back. Strange to see me out of school clothes and hero suit, huh? Asui asked. Why yeah. Izuku rubbed his neck embarrassed, as she hit the nail on the head. Makes sense, ribbit. Tsuyu croaked as she stared at what Izuku was wearing. The knight's successor of One for All wore a plain white t-shirt that just had the word t-shirt in kanji plastered in white letters over a green square. He finished the outfit with moss green shorts and a green camo parka. While Asui found the t-shirt uneventful, if only a little adorable on Midoriya, the fact it hugged his chiseled body so well made the normally emotionless girl flare red. "So, are we ready to go?" Asui asked, shaking herself off her daydreams. Yeah, got all the stuff I need," Izuku said, gesturing to his backpack and bags. "And your folks?" Asui gestured behind her for Izuku to see a car with a woman waving from the driver's seat. "My mother," Asui answered, while Izuku waved. "Me and her came to get you while Dad and my siblings set up camp at the marsh." "Cool." Izuku nodded. "I look forward to finally meeting them. Let's go." Waving one last goodbye at his mother by the door, her teasing smile which Izuku tried to ignore, he noticed Asui still had her light pink blush on her cheeks. Clueless, Izuku brushed this off, while Asui tried to ignore the words that Mrs. Midoriya said, that she overheard. Getting his stuff ready in the trunk, Izuku hopped into the backseat to meet the matriarch of the Asui family. It was clear that Baru Asui was whom Tsuyu took after by how similar to the two were. Her long, dark green hair was similar to Asui's, along with her eyes being similarly wide, though smaller compared to her daughter's eyes. Her face grew wider around her long mouth, had light pink marks on her cheeks, and had a small nose high up to almost between her eyes. "You must be Mrs. Asui," Izuku said, holding out his hand to shake. "It's a pleasure to meet you." "It's a pleasure to finally meet you as well, Midoriya." Baru smiled and shook his hand. "Why, I was very interested in finally meeting the boy who saved my little girl. On behalf of my family, we are truly grateful." "There's no need, Mrs. Asui." Izuku rubbed his neck, still smiling. "I was just doing what a hero should do." "Oh please, Mrs. Asui makes me sound old." Baru shook her head. "Just call me Baru from now on. Like mother, like daughter." Izuku thought amusingly. "Oh of course, Mrs. A I mean Baru." With an amused chuckle from Baru and Tsuyu, Baru started the car and drove off, Izuku and Pikachu waving a last goodbye to Inko. But as they drove off, Izuku noticed as they drove a white pickup and, what he swear he saw, wild blonde hair. Was that all Izuku thought before he was shaken out of his thoughts by Baru. "So, Midoriya, are you excited for our trip?" Baru asked. Oh yeah, I am," Izuku quickly answered. "I'm honored that you all would allow me to come on your family trip. It's a family tradition to invite those closest to us outside the family." Baru responded. "Strangers are just friends you haven't met yet." "That's true." Izuku smiled, reaching out and rubbing Combustions, his newest Pokemon, Pokeball. Izuku then remembered what he wanted to say earlier and said, "Oh, and I'm sorry that I couldn't have helped out with packing and setting up the camp." "Oh, don't feel sorry at all." Baru waved off his apology. "You live closer to the marshland than us, so it would be unpractical for you to drive all the way to Aichi Prefecture only to drive back here." "I guess." Izuku relented, still feeling guilty for the imagined inconvenience. "If it makes you feel better, Midoriya, Dad will probably not finish the camp by himself when we get there." Asui jumped in. "Sami Dare can be a bit lazy and Satsuki is too young and small for the heavy stuff, so you can help when we get there." "Sure thing," Izuku replied, smiling at being able to help. Baru chuckled amused as she spied Izuku's smile from the back view mirror. Tsuyu was right. She thought, "Midoriya is rather selfless and kind. I can see why my daughter has fallen for the boy. I like him already." It took only an hour to reach their destination, the outskirts of a forest path that leads to the marshlands that would be their camp. Izuku looked out to see the forest area, looking to his far left to where would be the place where Bakugu would blast open the fence and he, Bakugu, and his lackeys would enter the forest. The memory brought a frown to Izuku's face before shrugging it off and bringing out his Pokeballs. Eevee, Combusken, come on out. Izuku called out as he tossed his Pokeballs up. They opened up and out popped Eevee and Combusken. Combusken looked around at the new environment while Eevee looked the same direction as Izuku did, a frown likewise appearing on his face. Combusken, mind helping me out carry some of this stuff? Izuku asked. Sure thing. Combusken nodded and went to grab some of the stuff from the open trunk. Izuku went to grab the rest, lifting his bags and Tsuyu's and Baru's easily. The two Asuis looked as Izuku happily, and without asking, carrying their stuff. My, quite the gentleman. Baru chuckled. That's Midoriya for you. Tsuyu smiled, as she brought out her own Pokemon out. The small group would walk down a marked path, which Izuku figured must have been done by the Asuis or those before them to remembered where to go. The walk took a good 30 minutes before they reached the incomplete campsite. There they saw 2 tents already set up and a third only half complete, all circled around a makeshift campfire that was yet to be lit. Izuku noticed 2 small children laughing as the older one, the brother, and his Pokemon, a Lomba, playfully chasing after little girl, Asui's sister, Izuku figured. Izuku could also see the half-obscured figure of a man working on a boat while a Seismitoad and Quagsire helped move it near the water. Honey, we're here. Baru called out. And we brought Midoriya. Asui joined in. The 2 children stopped their playing to finally notice the 3 and smiled. Mom, Mama. Big sis. The 2 called out as they rushed towards them for a hug. Izuku smiled, seeing the happy family interact with each other. Suddenly, Izuku felt a chill run down his body, drawing him towards a source. Izuku followed the unknown sensation towards his right where he could make out a small figure hiding in the bushes, large eyes staring at him. Before he could see closer to see what the creature was, Asui, now breaking up her hug from her siblings, directed them to Izuku. Samidare, Satsuki, this is my classmate who saved me in the USJ, Izuku Midoriya. Asui greeted him to her siblings. Midoriya, this my little brother Samidare, and my little sister, Satsuki. Samidare was a head smaller than Asui, though his posture was slightly hunched like Asui, perhaps around 10 years old. He had the same dark green hair of his mother and sister though shorter, with half of it covering the right side of his face. His unobscured side showed his long mouth, also like his sister and mother, his half-closed dark green eyes, and light pink cheek marks like his mother. He was wearing a khaki shorts and a blue t-shirt under a small green parka. Satsuki Asui looked like a younger version of her big sister, around 6 years old, and half the size of her brother. Her eyes were large with 3 upper eyelashes, much like her sister, light tan skin, her dark green hair styled in twin low pigtails, and her mouth in a curious pout as she looked at him. She was currently wearing pink shirt and blue overalls. It's really nice to meet you. Izuku greeted with a smile and nod, waving off his stalker for the time. Yo! Samidare greeted back with a nod and a 2-finger peace sign. And this is Lomba. The Lomba waved at him. Satsuki walked up silently to Izuku before surprisingly grabbing and hugging his leg. I'm Satsuki, she exclaimed happily. Thank you for saving, big sis. Izuku's surprise quickly morphed to a kind smile and awkwardly patted the little girl's head. Nice to meet you, Satsuki. Izuku replied. I was my pleasure to help save your sister, though she also saved my life too. Asui croaked happily, a light blush on her cheeks. Oh, and these are my Pokemon, Eevee, Pikachu, and Combusken. Izuku introduced the 2 to his Pokemon, who called out their names in greeting. Cool. Samidare exclaimed as he ran up to and patting Pikachu's head, to his enjoyment, though inched away when he tried poking at his red electric sacs, not wanting to accidentally shock or electrocute the 10-year-old. Yay! New Pokemon! Satsuki childishly exclaimed as she went to hug Eevee. Combusken was met by Lomba who nodded in greeting and pulled out his green hand to shake. Combusken nodded back and went to grab the hand to shake. Only when she made contact, Combusken cried out in and shook her hand, an unpleasant feeling shooting down her paw as slippery slime was on it. Lomba laughed mischievously while Combusken fumed in anger. Izuku brought out his pokes and scanned the Pokemon. Lomba, the jolly Pokemon, and the evolved form of Lotad. The pokes revealed. Lomba's entire body is covered by a slippery, slimy film. It feels horribly unpleasant to be touched by this Pokemon's hands. Lomba is often mistaken for a human child. So that's what happened. Izuku hummed out loud, as Combusken still growled angrily as Lomba laughed. Baru, Tsuyu. Another voice spoke up, drawing their attention. The man was larger and taller than the rest of them, around Izuku's height. Out of all of the Asui family, he was the one with the most amphibian-like appearance. His head appeared like a more squared, rigid polytoad, short-cropped, black hair atop his head, his black eyes far apart, bumps around the sides of his face, and his mouth as long as the rest of his family. He wore a fisherman get-up with a red safety vest jacket, green pants, and black boots. Honey. Baru replied by hugging the new arrival, which Izuku could fully tell it was Asui's father. Midoriya, this is my father, Ganma Asui. Asui greeted Izuku to her father. Dad, this is Izuku Midoriya, the one I told you about. Ah, nice to finally meet you, young man. Ganma Asui nodded and extended his hand to shake. It's great to meet you too, sir. Izuku shook the man's hand. Thanks for letting me come out with you and your family. Please, if it's anybody here that should be thanking someone, it ought to be me to you. Ganma replied, bowing in respect. I, along with our family, formally thank you, Izuku Midoriya, for saving my daughter. We are in your debt. The rest of the Asui family bowed as well, even Satsuki. Please, this is unnecessary. Izuku said, embarrassed. It was nothing. Your daughter did more to help me than I could have done. Do you ever take a compliment, Midoriya? Asui asked. Once every blue moon. Pikachu replied with snark, though the Asui family couldn't understand him, or if he's forced to accept the compliment. Eve added. Izuku's sweat dropped the two's comments, before looking back to where he saw those eyes staring at him. To his surprise, the eyes and the small figure had disappeared. What are you staring at, Midoriya? Tsuyu asked. I just thought I saw something staring at me. Izuku replied, looking to Asui. Oh, it could be one of the many Pokemon in this area. Baru jumped into the conversation. This place is teeming with different kinds of Pokemon. It's why our family comes here for our capture and release trips, with the exception of keeping a few as our partners. Sami Dare. Ganma's loud, angry voice drew the three back towards him, yelling at Sami Dare. You were supposed to set up the tent and light the fire while I worked on the boat. I know. Sami Dare rubbed his head, ashamed. I just thought a little time to play with Satsuki would be alright. I didn't notice it took so long. Before Ganma could chastise his son more, Baru spoke up. Honey, since the camp is not finished yet, perhaps Midoriya could help you. He feels rather guilty for not helping us pack back at home, and I think this could ease his conscience. That sounds well, honey. Ganma nodded. That is if you do wish to help, Midoriya. Sure thing, sir. Izuku nodded and smiled happily. I'd be happy to help. Hours later. It took till sunset to set up the camp fully. Izuku would help Sami Dare with his tent before setting up his own, with Combusken lending a hand. Afterwards, Izuku helped Ganma with setting up the boat. Ganma handed Izuku a spare fishing rod and helped him adjust it to Izuku's preference. Meanwhile, Eve and Pikachu played around with Satsuki and Sami Dare, while Baru and Tsuyu would go out and gather some firewood for the campfire and check on their supplies, such as food and medical supplies. Once the work was done, Ganma and Baru decided that it was too late for any fishing, so they decided to call the night in with a final campfire and s'mores. They gathered around in a circle, with Ganma at the head and Izuku across from him. Baru and Sami Dare by Izuku's left and Tsuyu and Satsuki by his right. Tsuyu would help show Satsuki how to safely roast the marshmallow and how to set up the s'more. Izuku's and Zoo's Pokemon gathered around them, alongside Samidare's Lotad, and the Seismitoad and Quagsire, the former which he found out was Ganma's Pokemon, and Quagsire Baru's. Izuku smiled happily at the great time he was having, finding the family experience heartwarming. So, Midoriya. Ganma spoke. You've been to the marsh before, correct? Izuku's smile would falter for a bit. Why yes, sir. Izuku replied. Bah, none of this sir, nonsense, young man. Ganma respectfully waved off. You've saved my daughter. That owes you the right to call me by Ganma. Like father like daughter too. Izuku thought, chuckling. You are sure thing, sir I mean Ganma. You might want to continue reminding him, Dad. Zu spoke. I keep telling him to call me by Zu, but he seems to forget constantly. Izuku's sweat dropped, embarrassed. Suddenly, Izuku sneezed. Bless you, Midoriya. Baru said, giving him a napkin. Are you perhaps feverish? No, I'm fine. Izuku said. I just felt like someone was talking about me for a moment. Meanwhile, Inko squealed in absolute delight. I'm going to have so much grandchildren to spoil. Back at the Midoriya residence, Inko, wearing a fancy green dress, was eating with a suit and tux wearing Toshinori. The dinner table fancied up to look like a fancy dinner table from a 5-star restaurant, with Mr. Mime comedically playing their waiter. Now, Toshinori sweat dropped and took a sip of his wine. Yep, I should have kept that fact from Inko. Toshinori thought, regrettably informing Inko about Izuku's luck with his female classmates, which Inko ended up liking a little too much. If he finds out about this, young Midoriya is going to kill me. Back to the marsh. Yeah, it's nothing, I'm fine. Izuku said again. Noted. Ganma nodded. But back to my question, you've been to the marsh before, yes? When? Izuku's smile faltered again, this time Baru noticing. Honey, perhaps we should change topics. Baru suggested. I believe Izuku might not wish to discuss his last time here. No, it's alright, Mrs. Asui I mean Baru. Izuku waved off her concerns. Thank you really, but I can talk about it. It's just been a while since I thought about it. The Asui family was silent, patiently waiting for their guest to continue. Izuku looked to Eevee and Pikachu, the two nodding. With a sigh, Izuku spoke. The last time I was here wasn't actually my intention. It was when I was 4. Izuku remembered the events of that day. I was around 4 and I was adventuring with an old friend of mine and his other friends by the forest nearby. We weren't allowed to go there, but my old friend was stubborn and didn't like to be told what to do. So he broke through the fence with his quirk and went in, with me, Eevee, and the others following him. I didn't really want to go breaking the rules, but I respected him and followed him. When we were walking through the forest, searching for Pokemon, Izuku continued. He had a bag full of Pokeballs that I didn't know where he got, maybe from his parents. Ganma and Baru frowned and looked to each other at that info. During our walk, I found a hidden path through some bushes. Izuku continued, opting to ignore the mention of the weird pink Pokemon from the past. After showing it to my friend, he went on ahead, and before we knew it, we were next to the marsh. It sounds like your friend was bad influence on you and your friends. Baru said, motherly. They weren't my friends. Izuku said, a sad frown at their mention. They were more my friend's friends, or rather you could say they were his lackeys really. But back then, I didn't knew any better. Izuku rubbed the side of his stomach subconsciously. Tsuyu noticed, as well as the sad frown on Eevee and the rather angry one from Pikachu. We then started walking over a log bridge to get to the other side, and then my friend ended up tripping and falling to the river. He was alright, but I was worried, so I went down and lent out a hand to help. He didn't like that. Ganma frowned in concern. Did he lash out at you, perhaps? Ganma got the answer to his question by the flinch in Izuku's eyes. He was always prideful. Izuku answered. He never liked getting help from anyone. He always thought that he was the best, and I think he thought I was looking down on him. Idiot. Izuku's hands clenched tightly. After that, he and the others ran and left me behind. I got lost trying to find them and I ended up in the marsh. How horrible. Baru gasped horrified. Tsuyu croaked angrily, her own hands clenching hard that they could almost hear the crack of her knuckles. What happened? Sami Dare asked, interested. Me and Eve wandered through the marsh till it got dark. We couldn't even tell where we were going through how hard it was to see. Izuku responded. It then started to rain, and so me and Eve went to find shelter in a cave. A horde of Zubats didn't like that and chased us out. So we tried hiding under a tree, but we angered another horde of Pokemon, a horde of Spearows and Fearows. Oh no! Satsuki gasped out. Yeah, oh no. Izuku chuckled bitterly. Me and Eve ran as fast as we could, but I ended up slipping from the mud and it looked like we were about to get overtaken and... Izuku shook his head, before looking to his second partner. But then, out of nowhere, Pikachu jumped out and saved me and Eve with the largest thunderbolt you would ever see. He saved me and Eve that day. After that, my mother arrived with my friend's mother who were searching for me and found me and Eve, but Pikachu decided to come with us. From then on, we were friends forever. You damn right, boss. Pikachu said, fondly. You're damn right. The Asuis were stunned by the heroic act of the Pikachu, smiling happily at Izuku's rescue by the Pokemon. Tsuyu and Krogunk croaked in surprise that the two's story of meeting each other and becoming friends in the marsh was similar to them. That's wonderful to hear. Baru said, happily. So cool. Sami Dare gasped in awe, looking at Pikachu with a sort of reverence that Pikachu took pride in. A friendship meant to be. Ganma said, this marsh. It might look like a regular marsh, but it is a mystical place. Here, many of our family, as well as many others, form strong bonds with Pokemon we meet here. It was here that me and Seismitoad met and became lifelong partners. Ganma patted the large blue Pokemon head. Me and Quagsire met here when he was just a Wooper. Baru said, patting her Quagsire. This was also the place where I met Ganma for the first time. Baru held out her hand and Ganma held it in his own with loving care. It was here where I met my Pokemon too. Tsuyu jumped in. Politoed was my first Pokemon, Krogunk and I met when I was still little, and Palpitoad I met the last time I came here for UA. Lomba and I became friends here too. Sami Dare joined in, hugging Lomba. Satsuki whimpered sadly. I want a Pokemon friend too. She said sadly. Ganma placed a hand on his baby girl's shoulder. And you will, Satsuki. Ganma said assuredly. This trip is where you will find a companion Pokemon of your own. That I promise you. In our family, we have our first trip to the marsh when we are 6. Tsuyu told Midoriya. Now that Satsuki's of that age, this is also her first time and where she will catch her own Pokemon. Izuku smiled, and stared up the night sky to see the stars shine and twinkle visibly. Mr. Ganma is right. Izuku thought. I don't know how but I can feel something magical about this place. Something dash. Midoriya, your marshmallow is on fire. Tsuyu bluntly stated. It was a rather humorous sight for the Asui family to see their guest panicking and waving around a fiery marshmallow on his stick before Lomba took pity and put it out with a water gun attack, and soaking Izuku in the process. The next day, Izuku was fortunate to have accustomed himself to waking up early. After what Sami Dare jokingly called Izuku's interpretation of an Alolan Marowak, they decided to call it quits for today and to sleep. Ganma and Baru would sleep in their own tent, Tsuyu and Satsuki in another, Sami Dare in his own, and Izuku in the tent he brought, their respective Pokemon either sleeping inside with their trainers or sleeping right outside. After a peaceful night of sleep, Izuku and the rest would be awakened by Ganma and Baru at early sunrise. Sami Dare and Satsuki whined at the early wake-up call, yet Izuku and Zu woke up to little to no complaints. Izuku has spent the past year waking up early to train with all might at Dagobah Beach or training himself, so the early wake-up was of little inconvenience. They quickly woke themselves up and got ready for the long day ahead of them. According to Ganma's and Baru's plans, Izuku, Tsuyu, and Satsuki would travel along the river while Ganma, Baru, and Sami Dare would take their boat through the river of the marsh and they will all circle around Shinji Lake, or as it's referred to otherwise as Lake Verity. Izuku asked why they don't go deeper into the lake. Ganma answered by saying that it was impossible to reach the center of the lake. When Izuku pressured his question, Ganma would sigh. "I wasn't lying when I said this place is a magical place." Ganma replied, "The lake is a mysterious thing. If you look at it from afar, there exists a small island with a cave entrance, but when you get closer towards it, it disappears like a mirage. Many have tried reaching the center, but as soon as they near it, a strange fog appears and blinds them. When it clears, they either find themselves back where they started or at the other side of the lake. I've tried many times in my years, but every attempt leads the same way. No one has ever reached the center or reached the island mirage, and it's almost like that's the wish of the lake." A strong surge of curiosity welled in Izuku to try, but then he looked at Satsuki and Samidare and immediately thought otherwise. Who knows what will happen if we try to go near the center? Izuku thought. Satsuki and Samidare could fall off the boat and we would never be able to find them if we tried to go back in. And who knows what kinds of Pokemon live in the center? He then thought back to Bakugo and how he arrogantly walked into the forest and the edge of the marsh, without a single care to leaving him behind, like he did. As much as I want to go, I won't ditch or lose anyone. Izuku thought, determined. I won't act like him. With their plans settled, the group set off on their little adventure. Ganma would leave Izuku with the spare fishing rod in case he wanted to fish by the surface. They walked down the river, Satsuki happily skipping over the tree roots and rocks, only complying with Tsuyu's concerns for a few seconds before doing what she was doing before. Pikachu stayed on Izuku's shoulders, not wanting to get his paws dirty from the mud, while Eevee had no problem wailing beside them. Combusken decided to stay in her Pokeball, water and mud, not really agreeing with a fire type. As they walked, Izuku couldn't help but feel like the creature from before was following them. He would stop and turn back to the woods, deeper to the right of him, and swear that he could see those same large eyes for a second before they hid or fled. Ultimately, they reached closer to the end of the river, the bright sunlight shining through the exit between two large trees. As they passed the exit, Izuku gasped. In front of him was the lake, the water a sparkling blue, so clear that sky reflected off of it could be mistaken for it. The marsh and forest circled around the lake, giving the lake a circular shape. Amazing! Eevee gasped out. You said it. Pikachu replied. True to Ganma's word, what appears like a misty fog seemed to linger around the center of the lake. Wait. Izuku blinked before squinting, narrowing his eyes as he leaned forward, spotting something, a small island and a cave. Is that the Midoriya? Izuku jumped in surprise, turning quickly to see Zu. You okay? You were staring off for a while. You are, yeah, it's just. Izuku looked back to the lake to see the small island again, only to find it gone, the misty fog returning. And nothing. It's just the lake. Amazing, right? Tsuyu guessed. Izuku nodded. Dumbly. It's alright. I was just as speechless the first time I saw it. You've never seen the lake the last time you were here. Me and Eevee were mostly lost in the marsh and woods. Izuku answered, looking out in awe. I don't remember coming across the lake. Ribbit. Tsuyu croaked in acknowledgement. Well, let's get going, before Satsuki wanders off. She's really curious. Izuku and Asui started walking again along the side of the lake, Satsuki ahead of them by a bit, looking around with a curious smile. After a while of walking, Asui stopped and looked at the lake. This looks like a great place to start fishing. Asui said. Satsuki, make sure not to wander too far away from us. Satsuki nodded, obediently. Yes, big sis, she said. As she walked around towards the tree nearby them, Izuku smiled and looked at his classmate. She listens to you well. Samidare too. Izuku mentioned. You must be a great big sister. Zu blushed a bit, grabbing and preparing her fishing rod. Usually it's only us three. Asui replied. Mom and Dad are usually not at home. Their job takes them around a lot. Oh, I see. Izuku acknowledged, bringing out his own fishing rod. It must be hard to take care of them on your own. It is. Asui nodded. But it's satisfying. Seeing their smiles, hearing them laugh, tucking Satsuki into bed, it makes it all worth it. Izuku smiled happily at Asui as she cast her line and launched it into the lake. I'm glad to hear that. Izuku replied. What about you, Midoriya? Asui asked. Do you have any siblings? No, it's only been me and my mother for as long as I can remember. Izuku replied, as he prepared his fishing rod. What about your father? Asui asked. Izuku's hands froze mid-preparing the lure. Pikachu and Eevee looked at their trainer, his expression hidden by the shadows of his hair. After a moment, he continued and replied, I don't know. I don't remember much of my father. He left us when we found out when I was quirkless. Ribbit. Asui croaked confused. Quirkless. Shit. Izuku panicked internally. When we thought I was quirkless. My quirk took a long time to manifest, later than usual. Yeah, I remember. Asui said. I and the rest of the class overheard you say that. Why yeah, well, I didn't have the best childhood because of that. Izuku continued, sadly. After hearing that I didn't manifest a quirk, and that I was presumably quirkless, my father left my mother and went to America on a business trip. He still sends us money for child support, but I haven't seen or met the guy since. That must have been hard. Asui said, sympathetically. Yeah. No father, no friends, no quirk, it was hell. Izuku frowned before shaking his head, throwing back the line and casting it out, the lure landing in the water. The two were silent for a brief few seconds before Asui caves and asks, that old friend of yours, the one who left you behind, it was Bakugo, wasn't it? Izuku's hands on the pole clenching tighter and his frown was all the answer Asui needed. Asui croaked angrily at the thought of the arrogant explosive teen, understanding why he seemed so erratically angry and violent towards Midoriya and why Midoriya always looked downcast when talking about Bakugo and his past. I'm sorry I brought it up. Asui apologized. Izuku was surprised at her apology and shook his head. No, you don't need to apologize. Izuku replied. You didn't know, and whatever feelings I have over it are my problem. A hero is supposed to help with other people's problems. Asui said. Like how you went back to save All Might, and saving me from Shigaraki. Izuku looked down guiltily. Actually, I'm the one who has to apologize for something. Ribbit. Asui croaked, confused. Why? After we escaped the shipwreck zone and froze all those villains, we could have just sneaked our way back to the entrance with the others. As the class rep, I should have done my duty to bring you and Serena back to safety. Izuku answered. Instead, I forced you all to come with me to where Mr. Aizawa was fighting the villains. I was so worried about Aizawa and whether he would be okay that I neglected you two's safety. And if we didn't went there, Shigaraki wouldn't have noticed you and he wouldn't have tried to kill you. It was silent between the two for a few moments. Pikachu looked to his trainer sadly, always upset when his trainer places all the blame upon himself, regardless of his involvement. Eevee and Combusken felt the same, the latter now feeling guilty for her outburst towards her trainer after the villains fled. Izuku felt a hand on his own and looked up to see Asui placing her hand with his shoulder. It's true. Asui said. If we didn't go, we probably would have been safe, and it is true that you led us there, too. Before Izuku could look down in guilt, or his Pokemon cry out in disagreement, Asui continued, but you didn't force us to come with you, Midoriya. We went with you willingly, and if I knew what would have happened, I would do it again. Izuku gaped in shock at his blunt classmate. And what you forgot to mention is that if we didn't go there, then we wouldn't have gotten Mr. Aizawa or his Pokemon to safety. Asui said. There was even a chance that Mr. Aizawa would have died by the villains if we didn't get Shigaraki's attention. If not, All Might would have probably wasted time trying to protect Aizawa and the Pokemon than fight the villain at his full strength. Izuku stared at Asui stunned. She's right, Izuku. Eevee said, Izuku looking towards his first partner. And if you weren't there, All Might could have been killed by Shigaraki without you to distract him. And even if you did lead them danger, so what? Pikachu questioned, joining in. You saved Asui from Shigaraki and fixed your mistake by sending them away with Aizawa. What good is pitying yourself about your mistakes going to do? Are they suddenly going to change the past? No, they won't. So take the lessons in them and don't let them hold you back. Izuku smiled gratefully at the two. Thanks, guys. Izuku replied. I needed that. Suddenly, Izuku felt his line starting to tug. Izuku quickly braced himself and started pulling back. I got one. Izuku exclaimed. Sweet. Pikachu cheered. Pull, boss. Pull. You can do it, Izuku. Eevee cheered him on too. Nice. Asui said. Keep a steady stance, draw it out and pull hard. Izuku attempted to follow his classmates' instructions, only for the wet ground beneath his feet to make him slip and fall. The Pokémon on the other end of the line broke free and fled back into the water. Ah man. Izuku sighed disappointed. That was close. Asui remarked. Yeah, I thought I had them. Izuku said, dejectedly. Don't beat yourself up, Midoriya. Asui continued, extending her hand for Izuku to take. No one's an expert on their first try. All we can do is try again. Izuku smiled at Asui and grabbed her hand. As Izuku got up, he said thank you, Zu. Izuku thanked his froggy classmate. For bringing me here. This is one of the best trips of my life. Asui's only reply was you called me Zu. Izuku chuckled nervously, rubbing his neck. Yeah, I did. Izuku chuckled. As the two chuckled, Eevee and Pikachu smiling at them. Suddenly Asui's line started to tug as well. Hey, Zu, you got one. Izuku pointed out excited. Ribbit. Zu croaked as she braced herself, standing firm and steady as the line tugged and struggled against her. With the cheers and encouragement from Izuku and his Pokémon in the background, Asui pulled with all her might and a figure jumped out of the water. Izuku, Eevee, Pikachu, and a recovering Asui looked as the creature landed to their right, on its face. The Pokémon groggily got back up for the four to fully see it. Its body was a golden yellow, its body short and round, its arms a bit flabby and ended on three-fingered paws, a gold-yellow tail on its back, and cream-colored palemate for feet. Its beak was long, roundish, and cream-colored. 3 strands of black hair stuck out on top of its head, and its eyes were so wide and white you could barely see the black dots for pupils. Psy. Psyduck groaned, rubbing its head from the impact. Whoa, it's a Psyduck! Izuku exclaimed, eyes wide and shining. Izuku brought out its pokes and scanned the new Pokémon. Psyduck, the duck Pokémon. The pokes informed. Overwhelmed by enigmatic abilities, it suffers a constant headache. It sometimes uses mysterious powers. Wow, that's a good find. Izuku said, amazed. That's so cool. Right, Zu. Tsuyu did not respond to Izuku, staring down the Psyduck facing her. The two stared at each other, Asui's blank, wide eyes staring into Psyduck's own wide ones. Asui. Izuku questioned. Are you okay? It's Zu, remember? Tsuyu replied, staring at Izuku, adorable pink blushes on her cheeks. And I'm catching that adorable Psyduck. Upon her declaration, Asui pulled out a green pokeball with black lines around it, a netball. Let's go, Palpitoad. She called out. From the netball, Palpitoad came out of its white light, standing at the ready against the Psyduck. Toot toot. Palpitoad croaked out. The two Pokémon stared each other down, Psyduck titling its side to side while Palpitoad smirked and hopped on its 2 feet in anticipation. Asui's using Palpitoad to fight Psyduck. Izuku thought as he watched the two Pokémon stare each other down. Makes sense. Palpitoad is her newest Pokémon, compared Politoed and Krogunk, so it needs the more experience, and Psyducks are known to have many psychic type moves, so Krogunk, a poison and fighting type would be a bad matchup. Let's do this, Palpitoad. Asui said encouragingly. Palpitude. The vibration Pokemon nodded in affirmation. PSY. Psyduck cried out in fear, rubbing its head and eyes wide. But before any of them could make a move, a breeze ran through the two Pokemon, a shiver running down their spines. Izuku, Eevee, and Pikachu. And Asui felt that breeze too, Asui croaking in discomfort of the cold gust. The six looked out to where the breeze came from and their eyes widened. Gusts of cool, transparent wind blew and circled around a spot on the water, almost shining, rippling at the very center. A melodic hum sang through that brought more shivers to the four amazed individuals. Suddenly, the water rippled lightly again, and a shape arose from the clear lake. The shape of the being was all they could see, its body nearly invisible, rising from the water so seamlessly and without much ripples that it seemed intangible too, like a mirage. Izuku's amazed eyes squinted to make out the shape of the mysterious being. The shape was small, long shapes flowing down its top like dreadlocks and what looked like two tails popping down the bottom of it. Woo-wah! A melodic, heavenly cry sounded out as the shape spread its body. And as quickly as it appeared, the shape vanished, the lake rippling a final time. Izuku, Asui, and their Pokemon stared in awe at what occurred in front of them. What was that? Pikachu exclaimed shocked. I don't know. Eevee replied. Toad. Palpitoad croaked out amazed. Izuku could only gape in awe and surprise. His body felt like it was buzzing in energy, practically shaking, while his heart beat like a drum. The strange sensation went wild inside his head that it almost hurt. Izuku had to blink his eyes several times, unbeknownst to him that they were glowing slightly blue, as he saw a streak of flickering blue trail of smoke or something from where the shape was heading down into the lake before vanishing completely. Amazing! Asui croaked stunned. She perked up as she felt a shivering body press behind her legs. She looked down to see it was the Psyduck she fished up, hiding behind her legs and shivering in fright, its eyes frowned in fear. Oh, hey! PSY. Psyduck, PSY. Psyduck flinched as it realized who was next to it and backed up a bit, rubbing its head in pain as it almost seemed to pulse. Asui blinked in realization. Oh, I see. She thought. Psyduck's vast psychic powers give it headaches, and when it is stressed and worried, they grow more painful. If he doesn't calm down, he could unleash his powers like a bomb. Asui reached her hand out to the Psyduck, who flinched and back up again. Tsuyu stopped, before lowering down till she was near eye level with the duck Pokemon. She raised her hand again, but instead of reaching out to it, she held it up, like an offer. You don't have to worry, Ribbit. Asui assured the Pokemon calmly. I won't hurt you. Psyduck tilted its head again, confused, yet intrigued. Slowly, the duck Pokemon waddled closer to Tsuyu, placing one of its paws onto Asui's outstretched hand. Asui smiled and raised the other, slowly, and gently rubbed Psyduck's head, to the calming content of the duck Pokemon. Izuku smiled at the sight, seeing how Asui was soothing the Pokemon in discomfort with patience and care. It was inspiring and amazing to the green-haired teen, who started to feel something different. The green-haired teen couldn't place what it was but remembered recalling it whenever he had a heartfelt moments with Serena, Momo, and when Uraraka revealed her past and reasons for being a hero. Eevee walked up to the duck Pokemon, who regarded him with confusion. Eevee lifted one of its paws to it, which Psyduck hesitantly took. Instantly, Eevee's body glowed again, using Heal Pulse, which made the duck Pokemon sigh in contentment. After Eevee ended the move, Asui spoke again with I can tell that you have a lot of psychic power in you. Do you want to join my team? You can grow stronger and learn how to control your powers, and you can become friends with my Pokemon and me. What do you say? Psyduck blinked in surprise, looking down as if in contemplation. It then brought its head up and nodded. Psyduck. PSY. Psyduck cried out, affirmatively. Asui smiled, digging into her backpack and bringing out another netball. With hesitation, Asui tapped the Pokeball onto Psyduck's head and it was consumed in red light and sucked into the Pokeball. It shook 3 times in her hand before an audible clicking sound occurred. Psyduck's capture completed. Congratulations, Asui. Izuku said. enthusiastically. "You caught Psyduck." Eevee and Pikachu congratulated Izuku's classmate too. Palpitoad, while happy for his trainer, sighed, slightly disappointed it couldn't get to fight. Izuku held out his hand for Asui, pulling her back up to her feet. The two looked back to the lake, their Pokémon mimicking their trainers. "But, what was that earlier?" Izuku asked. "I've never seen anything like it." "Me neither." Asui croaked. "In all my times visiting Lake Verity, that never happened. But it happened, I felt happy." Palpitoad croaked, nodding and saying he felt the same. "Yeah, same." Eevee said. "I felt almost peaceful and calm." "What about you, Pikachu?" "Me. I felt excited." Pikachu replied. "Don't know why, but whatever that thing was just made me feel so pumped up." "Hey, Combusken, you felt that too?" "I did." Combusken communicated telepathically. "I felt similar to you, Pikachu. It was weird." "What about you, Midoriya?" Asui asked, after hearing the Pokémon talking by their names. "What did you feel?" "Me?" Izuku questioned. After a moment of thought, searching through what he felt when the mysterious shape appeared, he replied, "I'm not sure. For a moment, I felt this well of anger." "Anger?" Asui croaked in question. "Yeah, but then it just vanished and then I felt sad, miserable even." Izuku continued, eyes narrowed, confused himself. "And then, I felt joy and happiness, and amazed." Asui nodded, hesitantly, unsure of what Midoriya was saying, but understanding enough. "It was an amazing thing to see." Asui nodded. "What did you think, Satsuki?" "Satsuki?" After hearing no reply from her younger sister, Asui looked around to see her, only to find her gone. "Satsuki?" Asui asked again, louder and more panicked. Izuku and the rest noticed too and started looking around for the little girl. "Satsuki?" Asui called out a third time, worried and frightened. Eevee's ear perked up and looked in a direction. "Izuku!" Eevee cried out, pointing that direction. Izuku looked to where Eevee was pointing, squinting his eyes, before widening. "Asui! Look!" Izuku pointed. Asui looked, her eyes widening too at what she saw. Satsuki, far away yet enough where they could make her out, was giggling and splashing water on a tiny little Pokémon. Upon closer inspection, they realized what that tiny little Pokémon was, a Wishiwashi. "Oh no!" Asui croaked. "Satsuki!" Asui began hopping quickly towards her little sister, Palpitoad hopping onto her back before she leapt away. "Shit! Pikachu, Eevee, let's go!" Izuku cursed as he activated full cowling and took off towards the little girl in imminent danger, Pikachu and Eevee taking off after him. "A Wishiwashi! Here!" Izuku thought as he ran. "I thought they were only supposed to be by the coast and sea. What's one doing in Lake Verity? Doesn't matter. If Satsuki angers it, it could transform and attack. We got to get there, fast." Full cowling 8%. Izuku increased his percentage of 1 for all and sped up faster. Satsuki was giggling happily as she looked at the little Pokémon swimming before her. The Wishiwashi was small, about 7 inches in length. Its roundish head was mainly white, with a whimpering-like frown for a mouth and heavy, dark blue eyelids over light blue eyes that looked like puddles of water. A line of white teardrop shapes went down each side of its body, separating its underbelly, underside grey in colour with 2 tiny, grey, pectoral fins, and its top half, which was dark blue and had 1 upper, longer, dorsal fin. Its tail was a curved white fin. It also sported a bluish mark on its nose. The Pokémon looked sad and confused, which made the curious girl go to it. When it noticed her, it became wary, almost fearful. Satsuki titled her head, to which the Pokémon swam to meet her sight, and then swam to the other end when Satsuki titled her head the other way. Satsuki giggled and wanted to play with it. She cupped her hand into the lake and splashed some water onto it. It took it in stride, almost giggling, and sprayed a little stream of water onto Satsuki, to her delight. They continued splashing and spraying water onto each other, until Satsuki got carried away. Giggling, she slammed her hand into the water near the little wishiwashi, startling it. It swam away from her and started glowing blue. Satsuki blinked in surprise, watching as the little Pokemon glowed. She then noticed a similar glow a little ways to her right, then another to her left. Satsuki looked around the lake to see the same blue lights shining all over the lake. Then the lights started to move rapidly towards the glowing wishiwashi. Wishiwashi descended into the water, the blue lights meet and joining with the first. As they joined, the wishiwashi became bigger and bigger and bigger. As the last blue light met the larger one, the lights ceased, and then it burst out of the water. Satsuki stared in curious awe at what the wishiwashi became. It was easily more colossal and massive than before. Its body was oval-shaped with the large creature separated into 4 connected sections of different colors. At the end, it was dark blue, almost black. The tail was jutted out and wide, sticking out in 3 spikes, each spike shaped like a fish, and the end of the tail, where it met the body, a ring of blue circles surrounded it, and finally, 3 floating teardrop-like fish shapes hovered as the tail. The next section had a lighter, yet still dark, blue, with another ring of blue circles around it, and 4 spikes sticking out from it, 2 on its underside and 2 of its upper side. The third section was lighter than the last, a large dorsal fin atop it, the tip of the fin lighter in color with 2 blue dots at the very tip. Another ring of blue circles surrounded it, with 2 darker fish-shaped recesses, on both sides, behind it. The last section was the head, its color the same as the dorsal fin tip. Its roundish head was opened up by the wide, large mouth, the cheeks drawn back and revealing constantly the inside of the mouth, full of blue dots, and the upper and lower lips of the mouth had 3 blue dots. In between, the head and the other section was its pectoral fins on each side, shaped like a fish as well, with 2 fins and tail, 3 blue dots on the fins, and 2 where it met the main body. Its center of the eyes were 2 fishes with blue eyes, with dark blue recesses above it, a white collection of fins behind it, 2 blue fish-like shapes jutting out from its top. Aruru! The school form of Wishiwashi roared out in anger. Satsuki stared at the large Pokemon, frozen, while it opened its mouth, a swirl of water forming in its mouth. Before it fully completed and fired, Satsuki heard Pikachu, Thunderbolt. A large bolt of yellow lightning struck the monstrous Pokemon. The monstrous Pokemon cried out in pain and reared back its head, the hydro pump firing off away from Satsuki. Wishiwashi recovered and looked to where the bolt came from to see Pikachu fire an electro ball at it. The attack collided again, to Wishiwashi's pain, and roared in fury. Satsuki watched, frozen still as Wishiwashi turned its massive body to face Pikachu. All the while its tail was swiping towards her. As Satsuki noticed the tail coming for her, Deku picked up Satsuki and jumped out of the way from the tail's path, destroying where Satsuki was originally. Satsuki, are you okay? Izuku asked concerned. Satsuki nodded dumbly, still in shock. Good, that's good. Izuku said as he headed quickly towards where Asui and Palpitoad landed. He stopped before her and dropped Satsuki in her arms. Satsuki! Asui cried out in worryingly. Big sis. Satsuki said. Are you okay? Were you hurt? Asui fired off in concern. Satsuki hummed as she nodded. Izuku turned his attention back to the Wishiwashi facing him and Pikachu. Izuku looked between Pikachu and Eevee and Combusken, recently released. Combusken, Eevee, take care and protect Satsuki. Me and Pikachu will deal with the Wishiwashi. Izuku ordered. The 3 Pokemon acknowledged and nodded, Eevee and Combusken running up to and blocking Satsuki and Asui from the massive Pokemon, while Izuku and Pikachu stared down the leviathan of a Pokemon. It would roar once more as it fired another hydro pump. Pikachu, dodge! Izuku yelled as he jumped back. Pikachu complied and jumped away as the massive blast of water collided to the ground. Now, Electro Ball, again. Pikachu, in midair, formed another ball of yellow electricity and hurled it at the Wishiwashi. Wishiwashi would respond by forming a water pulse and firing, the orb of water and lightning colliding and exploding in an explosion of steam. Asui turned her attention to the fight, seeing Izuku and Pikachu fight the behemoth, and croaked. She pulled out her 2 Pokeballs and tossed them up. Politoed, Krogunk, she yelled out, the respective Pokemon appearing from their balls. Politoed, you and Palpitoad help Midoriya fight Wishiwashi. Krogunk, you stay here and help protect Satsuki. The 2, plus Palpitoad, nodded in affirmation. As they went to do their roles, Asui turned to Satsuki. Satsuki, stay close to me and don't wander off again. She ordered firmly. I'm sorry, big sis. Satsuki whimpered, tears forming around her eyes. Asui softened her gaze and smiled. It's all right, Satsuki. Tsuyu spoke softly. I don't blame you. Just stay close and let us protect you. That's what older siblings do. Satsuki stared in awe of Tsuyu. She turned her gaze to Midoriya as he leapt up from Wishiwashi's aqua tail, seeing his determined face. Satsuki smiled brightly. Pikachu, Thunderbolt. Izuku ordered, the electric mouse Pokemon firing another bolt of lightning. Wishiwashi fired an ice beam, the 2 attacks contesting before cancelling each other out. Wishiwashi would form and fire another hydro pump at Pikachu. Thunder Shield. Izuku commanded. Pikachu complied and started breakdancing on the ground while yellow electricity formed around him in a swirling shield. The hydro pump collided with the Thunder Shield. The powerful water-type attack seemed to be contested, until the powerful attack starting pushing forward and breaking through the Thunder Shield, knocking Pikachu onto a tree. Pikachu, you alright? Izuku questioned. Why yeah, oh, that's smarts. Pikachu cringed in pain as he shook it off. He perked up and pointed. Boss, look out. Izuku turned to see Wishiwashi coming at him to attack. Before the One-for-All user could respond, an ice beam and echoed voice came from the side and blasted Wishiwashi back. Izuku looked to see it was from Politoad and Palpitoad. Thanks you too. Izuku thanked. The 2 nodded back before turning to face the Leviathan again. Wishiwashi roared in anger before glowing blue and raising its head. Suddenly, the water of the lake rose and into a large wave it advanced towards them. Shit, it's surf. Izuku cursed. Everyone, jump. Eevee, protect the rest. Izuku and Pikachu jumped out of the way of the surf. Politoad quickly wrapped Palpitoad by its tongue before jumping up into the air with bounce. As the surf was reaching the others, Asui preparing to jump away with Satsuki, Eevee stood in front of them and cried out loudly, forming a large green bubble around them and shielded them from the large wave as it flowed around them before dissipating. Wishiwashi grew more annoyed and glowed again, this time ethereal purple, and roared, dozens of purple glowing scales shooting out and firing at them. It's Scale Shot! Izuku exclaimed. Dodge and defend! Pikachu formed another Thunder Shield, the scale shots blasting uselessly on the shield of lightning. Palpitoad's fists glowed white from Brick Break as it struck and destroyed the scale shots that came at him. Palpitoad fired off several mud shots, likewise destroying the purple scales coming at him. As the scales came towards the Asui and Satsuki, Krogunk and Eevee attacked, firing poison stings and swifts to block the attacks. All were destroyed except for one that was rapidly sailing towards the 2 girls. Asui grabbed Satsuki and turned her back, attempting to shield her sister. But before it could reach, Combusken stepped in between, a shadow claw formed in her paw and thrusted. The claw of purple shadows struck the scale shot, it exploding in a small, purple explosion. Asui looked up to see Combusken saving them. Thank you, Combusken. Asui thanked, Combusken nodding in response. As for Izuku, as the scales came towards him, Izuku quickly thought All Might Cinderace. Thinking back to one of his notebooks and the info on Cinderace, Izuku ran to his right, swerving and pivoting away from the scales shots. As he jumped and rolled away from one, another came at him. Izuku quickly set his left foot back, sliding it to a solid stop before turning it to the left. His body responded in turn as he began to pivot, Izuku watched as the purple scale sailed away, mere inches front of him. Wishiwashi roared in anger and began to fire up another scale-shot barrage. Out of nowhere, a horrible echoing croak sounded, large, powerful sound waves slamming into Wishiwashi's back. It roared in pain before getting struck again, this time by a focus blast and bullet seed. It and the others turned to see where they came from, Asui smiling at the answer. "Dad, Mom, Sami dare." Tsuyu called out. Out on the boat, deeper into the lake, was Ganma, Baru, and Sami dare. Saisimitoad and Quagisaya floated beside the boat, while Lomba was beside Sami dare in the center. "Stay away from my daughters, you school of lightweights," Ganma yelled, clearly angry. By the angry tick mark over it, Wishiwashi did not take to the insult lightly. Another hydro pump formed in its large mouth and fired on the boat. "Quagsire, protect!" Baru ordered. Quagsire jumped from the water and in the path of the hydro pump. "Quag quag!" Quagsire yelled out, forming a large green bubble. The hydro pump hit and was blocked by the protective shield. Seismitoad, while it's distracted, focus blast. Ganma ordered. Lomba, use bullet seed. Sami dare commanded. Seismitoad brought up his hands from the water, cupping them to form a large sphere of blue energy before chucking it at Wishiwashi. Lomba, meanwhile, simply opened its mouth and called out as magical seeds shot out and towards its target. Eve and the rest took the initiative and fired on the Wishiwashi with a number of projectile attacks. As Wishiwashi was getting pummeled and tried counterattacking, Izuku growled, "We have to do something to end this." Izuku thought, before Ganma's words repeated in his mind. He stared at the body of Wishiwashi, recognizing the likely thousands of them forming it. School of lightweights. That's it. "Asui, I have an idea." Izuku turned to Asui. "What is it?" Tsuyu asked. Wishiwashi's school form is just made up of hundreds and hundreds of other Wishiwashis, all gathered together to make up that shape. Izuku replied. "But they are connected to each other to do this, and if we manage to cause a large enough force to blow a few away then the whole school form will collapse." Tsuyu finished Izuku's idea. "Then I'll catch the lead Wishiwashi before they can try and regroup." Izuku continued. "But finding the right one when they all look identical will be hard." "I know what the first one was." Satsuki spoke up, drawing the two's attention. "It's the one with the mark on its nose. We were playing, but I made it upset. I'm sorry." No, Satsuki, it's all right." Izuku eased the girl. "That's incredibly helpful." Satsuki brightened up at the praise. Izuku looked back to the Wishiwashi. "But now we need to make enough force to scatter them." Izuku thought, looking to his hand. One good punch at 100% should be enough. But Izuku thought back to the USJ, Shigaraki's words taunting him for using a maxed-out punch on him that could have killed him. He then thought back to him recklessly breaking his limbs against Bakugu at the battle training exercise and at the USJ, how worried he made everyone, how helpless he was. "I have to find another way. I can't just be breaking my arms like a Pikachu carelessly using Volt Tar Dash." Izuku perked up, gasping as he found out what to do. "Pikachu, Asui!" Izuku yelled, gaining Asui's and the Sparkrat's attention away from blasting Wishiwashi. "Asui, wrap your tongue around Pikachu and spin him around for a bit. Then toss him at Wishiwashi. Pikachu, when Asui sends you flying, use Volt Tackle and blast through Wishiwashi." "Ah, I get it." Pikachu smirked. "Little Jonah and the Wylord, take him out from within action. Sounds reckless and dangerous. I'm in." Asui nodded, getting up and wrapping her tongue around Pikachu. She then started to spin, her tongue swirling around with Pikachu with it, the Sparkrat exclaiming as he was spun. Izuku turned to Wishiwashi, facing to the right of him, and ran towards it. Izuku's body sparked in green bioelectricity. "I have to get it to face Asui and Pikachu." Izuku thought, recalling the aura sphere he formed at the USJ and Taisha's words. Perhaps its gathered up power over the generations either boosted your own power or you tapped into the aura of the power instead of your own. I don't know what he meant, but if there's a chance I can use it, I have to take it. Izuku thought as he jumped up high, till he was almost above Wishiwashi. Izuku raised his left hand, humming and shaking as sparks gathered on it. His head felt on fire and his body shivering. I don't have to form it all. Izuku's hand and eyes glowed blue, a small, flickering ball forming on his hand. Just enough to get his attention. Izuku felt his body heat up like it was on fire, his bioelectricity sparking wildly. I don't what this power truly is. If it is one for all or something else, but the ball of energy grew, Izuku gritting his teeth. But what I know is that it's mine. A part of me. Embrace it. Push it forward. Go beyond. Over here. Izuku yelled, firing the energy forward. The ball of aura collapsed, breaking part. Yet a force of energy still blasted out and slammed into Wishiwashi's head. The school form of the Pokemon turned to the slowly falling teen and roared, its mouth preparing for an attack. Oh no! Izuku panicked. Suddenly a water pulse fired off from the forest and struck the Wishiwashi in one of its eyes. Izuku was surprised before realizing this was their chance. Do it. Now. Izuku yelled. Rib bit. Special move. Asui croaked as he finally tossed Pikachu. Tornado tongue toss. This is a bad idea. Pikachu yelled as he rocketed towards Wishiwashi's open mouth. His body sparked and came alive in massive wild electricity. Volt tackle. The yellow, sparking rocket that was Pikachu slammed into Wishiwashi's mouth and blasted through the other side of it. Wishiwashi roared a choked yell of defiance until it glowed bright blue. Its blue form shivered and shook till it broke apart into a multitude of little blue lights, multiple Wishiwashis falling to the water. As Izuku fell, his darted to the multitude of Wishiwashis falling, trying to find the right one. His stopped and widened, spotting a squirming, falling Wishiwashi with a blue mark on its head. There! Izuku mentally exclaimed. His right hand quickly grabbed the great ball in his pocket and quickly flung it at the Wishiwashi. It could only have time to widen its eyes before the ball struck it and was absorbed into the ball. Izuku smiled before realizing that he was still falling. Before he could angle himself, Politoed shot out its tongue and wrapped it around Izuku. The Pokemon reeled its head back, struggling. Izuku closed his eyes waiting for the impact, only to find none. Izuku opened his right eye, blinking to see he was a few inches off the ground, Politoed's tongue around his waist, the Pokemon stopping his fall. Politoed groaned as he let go and fell to his butt, Izuku landing in the ground with a soft thud. Shaking his head, Izuku breathed a sigh of relief. Thanks, Politoed. Izuku thanked the Pokemon, said Pokemon tiredly saying its name and raising a thumbs up in response. Izuku's mind clinked as he remembered about the Wishiwashi, whirling his head back to the lake. By the edge of it, the great ball landed in the grass, shaking. Finally, with fated breath, it stopped shaking and clicked. Izuku smiled and raised his fist into the air. We did it! He roared. Tsuyu would croak in cheer while Satsuki cheered as well. Eevee and Palpitoad would cheer happily, while Combusken, Krogunk, and Politoed sighed, relieved. Pikachu, floating on the lake and injured a bit after his volt tackle, smirked and raised a thumbs up. Pikachu would suddenly float off the water, Quagsire appearing from below and lifting the Pokemon off the water with his head, opening his large mouth to cheer. While Samidare and Lomba cheered and danced in victory, Baru and Ganma sighed in relief that the threat was over. The two groups gathered together on the bay, the rest of the Asuis looking over the two girls, especially Satsuki, the youngest. Izuku meanwhile would retrieve the now captured Wishiwashi in the Great Ball, sighing once more that the threat was over. He would look up to see Quagsire coming to shore with Pikachu atop his head. Pikachu! Izuku exclaimed, grabbing and raising the electric mouse Pokemon into the air. You did it! While I would like to take all the credit at any time, it was all of us who did it, boss. Pikachu replied humbly. Though, yes, I, humbly, really freaking did it. Humble, my ass. Combusken rolled her eyes. Izuku, the aura sphere. Eve pointed out. You were able to do it again. Does this mean you figured out what it was? After placing Pikachu on his shoulder, Izuku looked at his hand. No, I didn't. Izuku replied. He looked at it and saw that it wasn't broken. He experimented on it, flexing and moving it, only to find it only slightly buzzing and a tad numb, but ultimately all right. I was trying to form it, but it collapsed in my hand before I could fire it. I only fired some kind of force from it that alerted Wishy-Washy, but that was about it. It could be why my hand only feels a little numb and not broken like before. That start. Izuku thought. Not much, but a start. Noticing Asui coming his way, Izuku turned to her. That was amazing, Asui. Izuku said. That special move of yours. I told you it's Zoo. Asui repeated again. And the thanks should be to you, Midoriya. If it wasn't for your plan, it could have taken longer, and with possible injuries, for us to defeat that Wishy-Washy. I guess. Izuku rubbed his head. Still, if you didn't had Politoed fire that water pulse to blind Wishy-Washy, I probably would have been done for. Asui croaked, confused. I never had Politoed, or any of my Pokemon fire a water pulse. Asui replied. She looked to her Pokemon beside her, the three answering her wordless question with shaking heads. Izuku blinked, surprised once more, and now more confused. But then who fired that water pulse? Izuku thought to himself. Wishy-Washy was facing towards us, so Baru's, Ganma's, and Samida's Pokemon could have struck its eye from behind it. Izuku looked to the woods. So, could it have come from the woods? But then, what fired it and saved me? Midoriya. Ganma's voice brought Izuku out from his thoughts. Thank you, again, for saving my daughter, and this time saving my youngest. We are again in your debt. Thank you, Mr. Asuya, I mean Ganma, but that's unnecessary. Izuku replied. Your daughters helped me as much as I helped them. Asui helped fling Pikachu faster at Wishy-Washy, and Satsuki helped me figure out which was the head Wishy-Washy. They too deserve every bit of the credit. Ganma smiled, impressed and pleased. My thoughts exactly. Ganma said, turning to his eldest daughter, a hand on her shoulder. I am so very proud of you, Tsuyu, and the woman that you have and are becoming. Tsuyu's normally expressionless face was broken by slight tears and a smile. Thank you, Dad. Asui responded. Happily. Izuku would smile at the scene before noticing Satsuki walking to him. He knelt down to come face to face with the toddler. Thank you for helping save me, Mr. Midoriya. Satsuki thanked. It was no problem, Satsuki. Izuku replied, with a kind smile. And please, just call me Izuku. Satsuki smiled before looking at the great ball in his hand. Is the Wishy-Washy in there? Satsuki asked. Izuku lifted the great ball and looked at it. Yep, it was thanks to you that I managed to catch it. Izuku responded. So thank you too, Satsuki. Satsuki smiled and nodded, before turning sad once more. Thank you, though I really wanted to play with it more, and to apologize for scaring it. Satsuki said. Glumly. Izuku frowned and looked to the Pokeball, staring at it and the Pokemon within. With his decision made, Izuku would sigh and smile. He held the great ball up and towards Satsuki, to her confusion. Here. Izuku said. It's yours, Satsuki. The Asui family was shocked by Izuku's decision, especially Satsuki. But Midoriya, it was your Pokeball that caught it and Pikachu who defeated it. Asui reasoned. Don't you want Wishy-Washy? It would be a powerful Pokemon to have. You're right, Asui. Izuku replied. Honestly, having a Wishy-Washy would be a great addition to my team. But Izuku looked back up to Satsuki. I wouldn't have caught the right one if not for Satsuki. Plus, we did come on this trip so that Satsuki could get her first Pokemon. I think Wishy-Washy is the perfect choice for her. Satsuki stared at Izuku with wide eyes full of amazement. She turned to her parents and siblings who, while still shocked themselves, smiled and nodded to the littlest of them. With one last hesitant look, dissuaded by Midoriya's kind smile, Satsuki smiled brightly and took the great ball in her hands, smiling as she looked at it. Seeing the smile of the girl, Izuku smiled warmly too. Strangely, when he handed the great ball over to the little girl, he could feel a small feeling in his chest seem to fade away, like the connection and bond he had with the captured Pokemon went away and was passed to the youngest Asui. Whatever the case, seeing Satsuki smile still made the teen smile brightly. "I have my first Pokemon." Satsuki cheered, raising the ball to the air before hugging it. "Thank you, big bro Izuku." The Asui family would croak in delightful laughter as Izuku would blush red hot. The next day, after the events out on Lake Verity, the Asui family and Izuku felt that it was enough exploring and adventuring for the day and trip. The rest of that day would be spent with Asui introducing her family to Psyduck and Satsuki healing and having fun with her new Wishiwashi. At night, they would have a delightful dinner, some fun activities, and some final s'mores around the campfire. All the while a silly smile was plastered on Izuku's face. The next day, they spent the morning packing up and readying up to go home. Izuku packed the last of his stuff when Asui came up to him. "We're almost done packing up," Asui said. "Ready to go?" "Yep, just getting the last of my stuff packed," Izuku replied. "I'm sorry that you came with us on this trip and you haven't gotten a new Pokemon of your own." Asui apologized. "Hey, they're nothing to apologize, Zu." Izuku waved off her unnecessary apology. "I came on this trip to have a good and interesting time. Mission accomplished." Asui smiled. "You're getting better at saying my name right, big bro Izuku tilde," Asui teased. Izuku blushed red again. "Practice makes perfect, they say." Izuku replied. "By the way, I just thought of something." "Ribbit," Asui said. "Curious. If I get to call you Zu, then it only makes sense that you can call me Izuku." Izuku said. "It seems only fair." "Nope," Asui said immediately. "Huh?" Izuku questioned, surprised at her immediate rejection. "Izuku is what Momo calls you," Asui reasoned. "And Aizu is Serena's name for you. Then there's Deku for Uraraka, Izzy for Toru, and Midori for Mina. Even the guys call you differently, like Midoriya for Ida, Midobro for Kirishima, and Kaminari is calling you his Pikabro for often. I want my own nickname for you." Izuku blinked in surprise at the seriousness Asui took with just his name. After a moment of thought, Izuku snapped his fingers. "I got it," Izuku exclaimed. "How about Zu? It's like what Serena calls me, without the I, and it sounds like Zu." "Zu." Asui tried the name out. Her response was a bright smile, her head tilted adorably. "I like it. Ribbit." Izuku blushed fiery red. "Cute," he exclaimed, thankfully for sure that it was in his mind. "Yua, I gotta take down my tent," he exclaimed, not so quietly, and scurried over to his tent at light speeds. Asui watched him go with a giggling smile. Adorable, she thought. She felt someone beside her and looked to see it was her mother, Baru, likewise smiling at the scene she witnessed. "So, how long before you tell him how you feel?" Baru asked, bluntly. "By the end of year, at most," Asui replied, unashamed. "Maybe sooner if I can get the others girls to recognize their feelings too." "You aren't intimidated or worried about sharing him?" Baru asked further. "No," Zu answered. "The others deserve happiness too, and Midoriya, I believe, deserves all the love in the world. Plus, marriage laws about polyamory are looser nowadays, aren't they? Mostly in Japan, though I hear things are getting more loose in America too." Baru replied. "Oh, and when the time comes, tell the boy he already has me and your father's blessing. And your sister and brothers if that big bro title they gave him is of any indication. He'll most likely still ask anyways," Zu said, to their chuckles. "Just as long as you promise me at least one grandchild." Baru offered. "Make that 3. Asui replied. The two women of the Asui family chuckle. Izuku fully set down his tent by the time Ganma reached him. "It has been a pleasure to have you on our trip, Midoriya," Ganma said, raising his hand to shake. Izuku took it. "The pleasure was all mine, sir." Izuku replied. "Wait here, I'll go get your fishing rod." No, by all means, keep it," Ganma offered. "Think of it as a reward for saving both my daughters and for giving my youngest little tadpole her first Pokemon. And don't bother trying to deny it, because we'll likely spend all day fighting over it." Izuku sighed in defeat. "All right, deal," Izuku said. The two turned to see Asui and Baru chuckling about something, the burning sensation in his ears making Izuku believe it was about him. Ganma noticed and smirked, approving. "Midoriya," he gained Izuku's attention again. "Take care of my daughter. Me and Baru travel a lot because of our work, means we aren't home most of the time. The only thing I hate about my job really." Asui ended up taking care of Satsuki and Sami Dare, and because of that, she never really made friends of her own in middle school. So please, make her feel welcome and happy. Izuku frowned sadly, looking at Asui with a new light, admiring her for her level of dedication to her family and sadness at what it cost her. Izuku looked to Ganma with a determined stare. "I will," Izuku declared. Ganma sighed and smiled, feeling a great weight off his shoulders. "Good," Ganma said. "And thank you." Finishing up the packing and returning their Pokemon, all except for Pikachu on Izuku's shoulder and Seismitoad and Quagsire hauling the boat, the group of 6 started making their way to their cars. Until suddenly, a figure jumped out of the shadows and blocked their path. The creature stood on all fours, though mainly on its two-toed, crouched, blue feet, leaning forward by his white, four-fingered hands. Its whole body was a light blue color, its torso roundish and its arms skinny. A dark blue stripe ran down the back to the 2 white bubbled nose of the creature's oval-shaped head, its mouth thin and long. Its eyes were large, protruding vertically from its head from their sheer size. The sclera of its eyes are bright yellow, with black irises and white pupils. Its most notably feature was the large manner of white bubbles, similar to the 2 on his nose, wrapping around its neck and covering most of its back. "Froakie!" Froakie croaked out. "It's so cute and froggy." Satsuki cooed happily. Asui dug up her pokes and scanned the new arrival. "Froakie, the bubble frog Pokemon." The poke scanned. It secretes flexible bubbles from its chest and back. The bubbles reduce the damage it would otherwise take when attacked. "A very rare Pokemon," Asui croaked out. "But why is it here and blocking our way?" Izuku stared at the Pokemon in surprise, its eyes staring right at him and Pikachu. Upon staring at its large yellow eyes, the gears in Izuku's mind clicked. "It was you," Izuku said, walking a step forwards, the Asui family's attention on him. "It was you that was staring at me when we came and who followed us on our way to Lake Verity. It was also you that blinded Wishiwashi with the water pulse, wasn't it?" Froakie relied with an affirmative nod. "But why?" Izuku asked. He didn't have to hear the Pokemon thoughts to immediately know his answer. "Were you intrigued by me?" Izuku asked. Froakie nodded again. "Do you want to come with me?" Another nod was Froakie's response. Izuku smiled, nodding. Before he could dig out a Pokeball, however, Froakie raised his white hand to him as if to say stop. "Froakie." Froakie shook his head. He then pointed his paw towards Izuku on his shoulder. "Froakie." Looking at Pikachu and back at Froakie, Izuku asked, "Do you want to fight with Pikachu first?" "Froakie." Froakie croaked loudly and nodded, almost energetic. Izuku smiled, impressed, already admiring this Froakie spirit. Looking to Pikachu, Izuku asked, "What do you say, buddy? Ready for another brawl?" If Bubbles is asking for it, he's got it. Pikachu cried out excited, pounding his fists together. Izuku smirked and nodded. Pikachu jumped off his shoulder and Froakie jumped back for more room between them. The Asui family stepped back and watched, Satsuki and Sami Dare cheering him on the loudest. Pikachu and Izuku stared at Froakie silently, the bubble frog Pokemon returning the favor. Just as a leaf fell to the ground, Froakie charged towards Pikachu. Pikachu, charge with quick attack. Izuku ordered. Pikachu's body glowed with a white light as it sped towards Froakie. Froakie would reply by forming a water pulse in its hands. Just as Pikachu was nearing it, Froakie launched the water pulse, but not on Pikachu but on the ground. As the water pulse collided with the ground, a small wave of water shot forwards, pushing Pikachu back. Smart Pokemon. Ganma nodded. Instead of trying to hit a fast-moving target, Froakie fired it where Pikachu would be and had the resulting blast wave hit Pikachu instead. Froakie, still in the air, followed its attack up by firing a stream of bubble. Pikachu, Thunderbolt. Izuku commanded. Pikacguu. Pikachu roared as it fired a large bolt of lightning towards the mid-air Froakie, blasting through the bubbles like nothing. Froakie took the blast of lightning, croaking in pain as he was blasted backwards. Direct hit. Samidare cheered. And a super effective one at that. Froakie then shook off the hit and landed in a crouch. This was surprise to both trainer, Pokemon, and watching audience. How's it still standing? Samidare questioned. Asui perked up as she looked at Froakie. She pointed to the Bubble Frog Pokemon and said, "Look." Around Froakie, his scarf of frubbles expanded and grew, nearly wrapping all around Froakie before they receded. Froakie, while covered in a few scratches, smirked. Just like the poke said, it used its frubbles to absorb some of the impact. "Wow, it's so strong," Satsuki said. "Electro Ball, now." Izuku continued ordering, and Electro Ball formed on Pikachu's tail before it flung it at Froakie. Froakie replied by forming another water pulse, tossing it and intercepting the Electro Ball as they exploded in a burst of smoke and steam. Pikachu waited to see Froakie clearly, only to be surprised at Froakie popping out of the smoke, glowing white from his own quick attack, and struck Pikachu with a white fist of pound. Pikachu get it back with Iron Tail. Izuku ordered quickly. Pikachu ducked another pound from Froakie and swung its metallic-powered tail at Froakie, blocking some of the damage with his crossed arms, yet still sent back. After landing, Froakie jumped towards the tree nearby and fired another stream of bubble. Pikachu dodged them, while Froakie jumped to another tree and fired again. This one struck Pikachu's back. The Bubble Frog jumped out of the way of another Electro Ball to another tree and continued hopping around from tree to tree. He's using the trees and his hopping skills to evade Pikachu's attacks and to try and hit Pikachu's blind spots. Izuku muttered as he stared at Froakie jumping around. "Pikachu, track where Froakie will jump to." Pikachu nodded, he and Izuku looking as Froakie jumped rapidly from tree to tree trying to find a pattern. As Froakie jumped to one tree, the two's eyes perked. "Got it." Izuku and Pikachu both thought. "Electro Ball." Pikachu complied with his trainer's wishes and tossed another Electro Ball at where Froakie was jumping towards. Froakie was already mid-jump before he realized, landing just as the Electro Ball hit the tree in him. Froakie croaked in pain as he fell off the tree. "Now, quick attack and Iron Tail," Izuku ordered. Pikachu rushed and jumped towards the mid-air Froakie, colliding onto his chest, before swiftly spinning and slamming his Iron Tail onto the Froakie, slamming him into the ground. Just as Froakie bounced off the ground, Izuku ordered again one more time, Iron Tail. Pikachu spun in mid-air and hurled himself and his metallic tail onto the Froakie on his back. Froakie recovered just in time for both his fists to glow white from pound and block the Iron Tail between them. "Gotcha." Pikachu smirked. Froakie's eyes widened at his mistake. Pikachu was now right next to him. Izuku smirked. "Pikachu, Thunderbolt, full voltage." Pikacguu. Pikachu roared, yellow lightning exploding off of him and onto Froakie, who croaked in pain. "All right, Pokeball, go." Izuku yelled as he tossed a net ball at the downed Pokemon. Pikachu hopped off as the net ball struck Froakie, opening up and consuming the Pokemon in red energy and into the Pokeball. *VRM*. Izuku and Pikachu waited with bated breath as the Pokeball shook. *VRM*. The Asuis leaned forwards and expectant. *VRM*. Izuku stared at the pokeball, a bead of sweat down his brow. *click*. The Asuis smiled wide, Satsuki and Sami dared cheering. Ribbit. Asui croaked joyously for Izuku and his new Pokemon. Pikachu smirked and pumped his fist. Eevee and Combusken came out of their pokeballs, smiles on their faces at the new member of their family. Izuku smiled warmly, his thoughts racing back to where he and Eevee first met Pikachu, the times they spent together, and the day he finally caught him. It was in this place where I first met Pikachu and one of my closest friends. Izuku thought, walking towards the still great ball. And now today, more than 10 years later, Izuku bent down and picked up the great ball, holding it in his hand gently. Where I found and made a new friend. Izuku smiled wide. Sticking the ball into the air, Izuku cried out, "All right. I caught a Froakie. Pie Pikachu." Pikachu cheered. Eevee, Combusken. Eevee and Combusken joined in. Staring at the ball raised to the sky, Izuku could only smile brightly, a cold, yet calm shiver running down his spine. The same shiver he felt since capturing Pikachu and Combusken. When he first met Eevee. To Izuku, that shiver always meant, for him, a shiver of excitement and joy at a new member of his family. Later, Izuku, Pikachu, and Eevee waved goodbye to Asui and her mother as they left him off at the doorstep to the Midoriya apartment. Izuku looked at the great ball still in his hands and smiled, excited to show his mother his newest Pokemon and partner. Izuku and the two Pokemon walked to the door and opened it with the hidden key under the flower pot. "Hey Mom, I'm home." Izuku announced his entry, Pikachu and Eevee calling out greetings too. Silence was what he was met with. Izuku frowned in confusion. "Mom." He called out again, walking closer to the house. "Izuku." Izuku Midoriya suddenly rushed out of the kitchen, her clothes and hair slightly disheveled. Her red face was full of surprise and panic. "Oh, you're here. You're here early." "Yeah," Izuku said, confused at his mother's panic. "I just came back. Are you okay, Mom?" "Oh hey, young Midoriya." All Might, in his skinny form, suddenly appeared from the kitchen too, his black suit slightly wrinkled and his own messed up even messier. "Welcome back." I mean Mr. Yagi," Izuku exclaimed, surprised to see his idol here. "What are you doing here?" Oh, well why you ICIWism Toshinori tried to explain, panicking and stuttering. He was just here to talk to me." Inko interjected, quickly, trying to keep down her red face. "About a new job." "A new job?" Izuku raised an eyebrow. Oh yeah. Yagi took Inko's hint, that being a shoulder to the stomach. "I was just talking about seeing if she wanted a new job, at UA. UA. Izuku blinked in surprise. "Yes." Inko squeaked out, nodding rapidly. "Yagi says that Recovery Girl could use some extra hands to help in the nurse's office, so he thought it would be a great idea." Oh, okay. Izuku nodded. Normally, he would be ecstatic for his mom to get a new job, especially at UA, but he felt something was off still. "That sounds great." "Yes, well anyways, I think I should be going now," Toshinori said. "It was a pleasure conversing this topic with you, Inko." "Why yes, a pleasure." Inko nodded, blushing. "Until later, Toshinori." Quickly, the hidden All Might excused himself and left. Inko excused herself, saying that she needed to use the bathroom for a minute. That left Izuku and his Pokemon, the two doing their best not to burst out laughing, while the former just stood there confused.